talk a little bit about the deliverance people involved in what's going on. Here you see Rabbit looking like Tive in those days used to look. Tive took me to meet Milton Sharp, and his father appears in my father's George Leader book at some distance. Um, I'd say circled him on the deathbed. I don't know who um, put him there. And then at the end of the Crimson Trove, the Rabbit um, bows his head in the Sinwar fashion of Wills Byrne, having infiltrated and betrayed a generation through their favorite industry, the rock industry. He poses as a holy warrior. So you can see the Rabbit behind the AIDS attack, working with the Gurdjieff Society. And Clint Eastwood, who's a sort of Anthony James wannabe from the cast of, Lee Marvin Crooked Tooth um, sidekick from the era of Deliverance, Hitler Reagan's crimes. Woman, the penis envier for all its macho. Stalking poets, deaf poets, and see, the reason we need adults in the room is because the issue, we know with the Pennsylvania um, Gopher fundamentalists clock as they hire and pay for and sponsor abortions against their golem. From the Vinyl Solution, this strip dude is the one who wrote the Vinyl Solution, the book, The Vinyl Solution, that they pulled in East Palestine. We know what they're capable of, poisoning children, justifying Gaza's ordeal, and so forth. Now, but the truth is, they don't care about children. Dee Dee's age really was not the point. What we're seeing is a cult and a racket who contract attack prostitutes through the military services, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Union Switchboard in the Pittsburgh Public Schools, the NAACP. And it's a compromat system. It's famous in Russia. The Russians do it all the time. America's not supposed to do that. But they put Jackie Kennedy next to JFK so she could see it in her hand. She has a weapon. She was working with Allen Dulles. And then she leaves home, bye-bye, and goes to the Beatles and the Greek entourage around Onassis. This is a system. They put Rosa, they call themselves the Green Party, like Rosa Clemente comes up with all these, Matt Marcus gangrenous war wounds to show that she's the great saint of WQED and Mr. Rogers, like Matt Marcus. And she comes in, she says, I am not a bimbo, and I'm going to show you. She says, Creary, don't you love King Crimson? Well, they love you too. And this girl is going to finally show you love and support. And she gets real close and blows the head off. This is the Dee Dee Jackie Onassis outfitted with. They use signifier names. Rosa and Aaron were the names on hand at the CCAC library clerk desk. They used Alpina because King Crimson, this schlocky band, played at the Alpine Arena where Ian Watmaker used to skate. So, they lewd weirdos in computer science, and these things are all designated with their widgets. And it was called Two Virgins Pussy Ball. It was conceived by the Croquet Greguster Koronog with NAMIs like Corello and Lucifer, or Alucard, Luciferello, and when Gore and Schwarzenegger dreamed up, pulling Greta Thunberg out of the hat with the COVID tulip, Midge and Howard Schmelz routines of Sean Penn and Putin. And it's all this ghastly weirdness that comes from Toon. He talks about, oh, they take babies out of the womb, put them aside. Now what are we going to do with it? Because every accusation is a confession with these people. They didn't see, why they shouldn't use me, Matt Crary, as a metaphor for abortion, because I was born into the liberal spectrum. Sean Brooks locked me out of a church when he knew the gang outside was going to kill me, because he wanted them. He wanted to. Why should the church, protect a cosmic long hair from Hampton Street in Pittsburgh when they have abortions? I wasn't even old enough to get a girl pregnant. I was prepubescent. Dee Dee had been sleeping around, fully developed, ready to have children. And he set me up with her in a shack that I couldn't escape, that battered me. She showed me the ropes. So this is how they operate. I mean, this is psychologically what they do. It's their operation, it's their game plan. Attack prostitutes to get people hooked on as to be services for their espionage. And they murdered Kennedy with a girl, they put her right next to him. They murdered me with a girl, they put her right next to me. And they always say, I love you, man. And they'll start killing your children if you don't serve them tea, because tea is so exquisite. It's what Margaret Thatcher gave Pinochet. So you can be sure it's what they're going to make Queerball give to Ringo Starr. Right? And they put semen in my coffee up here at the Red Elm. They did. They're that psychotic. And Clint Eastwood had it all figured for a downpour of rain. A hard rain's going to fall downtown. When we went down to protest, whatever it was going on, right before COVID. You see that sticker on my door over here? That one right there. Out now. Because we wanted Trump out. No sooner did that sticker go around than whoosh, the Extinction Rebellion was saying this is not a test. And COVID, the hard rain fell. And we're supposed to be blind to the evidence. And they cackle and sneer because the Crocagrigosa are vampires from the dungeons of Celine Dion, who crawl up with George Romero from Out of the Night of the Living Dead. And the courts and police seem to have absolutely no sense at all. The administrations of the schools appear to have absolutely no sense at all. They can't call out a sex ward game because they're too sanctimonious to admit that they're terrified that if they wavered, they wouldn't get accreditation from Mr. Rogers as the good kind of person who is too moral to be entrapped by the Venus flytrap of the AIDS catastrophe, which is what they pulled. And they didn't give me a choice. You don't stick a neuroplasm. These people were working. I've said this before. I know it falls on deaf ears, but just in the event that somebody comes along who is an adult someday, be aware that the penis people, King Crimson, were working with a psychiatrist from Attica State Prison who was my neighbor. In fact, they brought in the Ohio State troopers when I reported him. Why Ohio State? This is Pittsburgh, right? We're west of East Palestine. What gives? Well, the corrections people were experimenting with neurohypnosis on adolescents who they were pimping. They did it to Mackenzie Shirella too. And she got into a disaster. She tried to commit suicide. These toxins replicate the Holocaust survivor experience. You can validate that because they chose Shirella because it's like Shaviti. Kazetnik wrote Shaviti. It's about the Holocaust experience of an extreme situation induced by these kinds of neurochemicals. And they pulled this situation because they wanted a neurogolem, obedient, recreationally obedient. They slaughteringly hit me in the head. I was deaf. They didn't give me any choice. Dee Dee was going to use me or I was going to be killed. And it wasn't just her. There were adults who they passed me around too when I was in a state of coma. And you can't find a single person in the city of Pittsburgh who admits that this happened, even though they gassed me. They forced us to sell our house and move. I was hiding in the top shelf of the towel closet. And the Germans, I mean the black people, come and say, don't say like Anne Frank. That's cultural misappropriation. That's how weird they are. That's their idea of answering this. It's to say, you can't compare Gaza to Anne Frank because that's cultural misappropriation. You have to find some other word than genocide or Holocaust because the whole issue of genocide and Holocaust is owned by the people who released the AIDS virus. And their accomplices in South Africa are going to sue on behalf of Gaza as to how they have it all corkscrewed now. Pink Floyd said to me when they pretended to find their own letters, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And Roger Waters comes picking his nose and waving the Palestine flag. When Mick Jagger and his friends are finished with you, we'll talk. The whole will be greater than the loss of your children. This is what kind of psychos they parade as adults in Tacoma. You can't find a lucid, intelligent, mature adult anywhere